Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ron, and today we're going to be talking about the newest Killing Floor 2 update. It's now available for everybody, not just those who wanted to opt into the beta for PC. It's now available on console too, and I'm going to be going over everything that they've changed and kind of my own personal opinions on them. And let's just start with the new map. We have the new map Moonbase, which now gives everybody a low gravity map, which is awesome for anybody playing on console because there is no low gravity maps. Besides part of a section in Sanitarium that lets you kind of have low gravity. This will be the first official low gravity map, which is great. You no longer have to play a custom map if you don't want to. Not saying the custom maps are bad or anything. A lot of custom maps are really good. This one is a pretty decent map, but I do have problems with it, and more problems that people have actually brought up. The first one is, why is there so much railing in this map? There really shouldn't be. There's a bit too much of it here. I guess they just kind of wanted to keep it the same way they keep a lot of the structures, but it just doesn't make sense. If the whole map is going to be low gravity, you don't need rails everywhere. Most of the Zeds are just going to hop over them, and most of the players are too. So it seems like you could have just cut all that out and cut away a lot of the invisible walls. There is still strange invisible walls, strange spots that you get stuck on, strange hitboxes like on the ceiling and stuff, or when you're trying to jump over specific obstacles that look like you should be able to jump over them. Now the map is kind of strange on the actual layout, but it is a pretty good map. I do like that there's a lot of big open areas. I think this is going to be probably one of the easier maps to play on just because of low gravity. There are so many situations where you can just jump up in the air, and if you're playing somebody like Demo, it's going to be super easy for you because you can almost always get your explosives to go off, and all you have to do is just jump up in the air, shoot at the ground, and you're good to go. Same with Firebug. Light the whole floor on fire, you're good to go. And all of the seasonal objectives aren't too bad to get on this one. I never really had a problem getting any of them. There's one where you jump, you kill so many enemies when you're in the air, jump on so many enemies' heads, use the electric gates. And I think it's complete the weekly and complete endless, at least on hard, for 15 waves. So nothing that difficult. Everybody should be able to get the seasonal one on this without much trouble. There are two new weekly modes now. There is Arachnophobia, which makes it so you can jump onto enemies, dealing more damage to them and starting a combo. If you fall off an enemy, it stops your combo, so you do have to chain these together. This one is more difficult to do on the moon base than it is on regular maps, I've found. It's easier to jump on the crawlers so long as you're not in space. It's easier to jump on everything else if you are in space, but the crawlers are much stronger in this game mode. They take a lot of hits to actually kill. You can still kill them fairly quick with classes like Firebug, though. You light them on fire and they'll die fairly quick, but not nearly as fast as you normally would be able to, and you're really encouraged to be jumping on them. It's kind of a fun weekly, but nothing real difficult either. I think it's scaled to either suicidal or hard difficulty. Either way, it wasn't too bad. I played it on Containment Station and beat it without any trouble. I think I have a video up just about that. There is a second game mode that's way more fun, or second weekly, and that is Scavenger. And Scavenger makes it so you can only buy armor and grenades from the trader. You cannot sell them anything. You cannot buy anything. You also get reduced cash by quite a bit. So you're not going to be able to get a whole bunch of dosh and then just constantly be able to get max armor and grenades, at least at the start. You will probably be able to do that later on. All of the weapons just spawn randomly around the map, which is really fun. You can pick them up. They start out as tier 1 weapons, and any tier 1 weapon can spawn, so that means the cock and burn and the grenade pistol can also spawn. And then they scale as you go on through the wave. This is 7 waves, and I believe this one is also either set to hard or suicidal, where I believe once you hit wave 6 of 7, I think all weapons can spawn then, that are tier 4 and tier 5. So you can find anything laying around there. So if you want to use the 50 caliber, you can. If you want to use the flamethrower, you might be able to find it. If you want to use the railgun, you might be able to find it. There's every weapon in the game that can spawn here, including DLC weapons too. So DLC exclusive weapons, at least during the beta, this is what was going on. I haven't tested it in the official game, but in the beta you could find DLC specific weapons too. So if you don't have those DLC weapons and you don't have any friends that have them either, you might be able to check them out in Scavenger mode. So if you're wondering what the new weapons are like or what some of the older DLC weapons are like, this is a game mode that allows you to do that. You also get a skin from this one. I probably should have said the skins from the other one. The skin from completing the seasonal is a new backpack. It looks like a UFO, which looks pretty cool. The new skin from the Arachnophobia is crawler legs that act as a backpack going on your back. They look pretty cool as well. And the Scavenger one is a beat-up looking AK skin, and I don't really care for it all that much. It's kind of a nice little bonus, and if you don't have any skins for the AK, well, you'll get one, but not one of my favorite ones. It is a really fun game mode, though. I will say that. Scavenger is probably one of my favorite weeklies now. They've added 4 new weapons with this update as well. 2 paid and 2 free. So let's go over the free ones first, which is the Hrg Blast Brawlers. This is modeled off of the Berserker Static Strikers, and this goes to support. These are fists that have shotguns in them. These are a tier 4 weapon for support, costing 1600 dosh. They weigh 9 unless you upgrade them, and then they weigh 10. So they are a bit of a heavier weapon. They hold, I believe it's 4 shots in them, 7 with the new increased ammo. And I'll be talking about that soon too, because support did get buffed in this patch. And these count for both fists. So whatever the damage is that it shows on there is actually doubled because it doesn't account for both hands striking. And your primary fire is firing them out one fist after the other, pretty much using them like Iron Man blasters. These are ranged, so you can shoot them just as far as you would a normal shotgun. You don't have to be up close and personal with them. You can actually use them from quite a ways away. They have a okay spread on them. They feel kind of strange because they feel like they kind of fan out more than some of the other shotguns. So that takes some getting used to. Since these are a melee weapon, you also can block with them, but you cannot block in the middle of firing. So if you choose to fire, you have to wait for both animations of your fist to shoot the guns before you can block again. Its heavy attack is just a standard heavy attack, pretty much the same as the Static Strikers, just without the added electricity to it, so you just punch enemies. Its bash attack is just punch enemies as well. This weapon I honestly had a lot of problems with, and I still do. I think it's one of support's weakest weapons. It's honestly not that strong. Even if you want a blocking weapon, there's better choices. You could get the Hemogoblin that weighs much less, and it would probably still be more useful. They are kind of a fun weapon to mess around with, but I would consider them one of support's weakest weapons right now. They did get kind of buffed, but nerfed during the beta as well, and that's what we currently have. They haven't been changed since the second beta. Our second Hrg weapon is the Hrg Bastion. Now, this is modeled off the Stoner 63 that Commando has, and this goes for SWAT. This one has new sights from the Stoner, which are really nice and very visible, which is great. It has a secondary fire, sort of, or a secondary function. You put up a shield in front of you. This shield can tank through damage. If it takes so much damage, it'll break, and if you keep it up so long, it will also run out of power. So you want to be turning this on and off. It does good damage. It has a good clip size. It's a tier 5 weapon, and it costs 2,000 dosh. It also only weighs 7. So you can take this with any other weapon with SWAT or multiple weapons with SWAT. I usually found myself taking this with either the Medic SMG and the nail gun, or the nail gun and the Medic pistol. And that was a very strong loadout for SWAT. Nothing to say but good things for SWAT here. Bastion is really strong and probably going to be a weapon that you see very often in games. It's a really good weapon for SWAT right now. And it kind of just outclasses the Glock 18 with the shield for right now as well. That's something. Oh wait, that's the one weapon that you can't take with this. You can take every other weapon but the Glock 18 and the shield. Sorry, I spoke too soon. There's 2 new DLC weapons. The first one is the FAMAS Master Key, which is a commando and a support weapon. This is the FAMAS Assault Rifle with the underbarrel pump-action shotgun. So with its secondary fire, you'll be firing the shotgun. With its primary fire, you'll be firing the FAMAS. Now, the FAMAS is a tier 3 weapon for both classes, and it costs $1,200. I have quite a few problems with the FAMAS still. It's not one of the best weapons right now. I'll just say that right out the gate. For Commando, it's a pretty weak weapon, especially for a tier 3. When you have so many good tier 3 weapons to choose from, the FAMAS is 3-round burst only when you're firing the assault rifle. It does have a very high rate of fire in the 3-round burst, which is nice. It also has pretty low recoil in the 3-round burst, so it's not hard to control. But it's still a 3-round burst, and you're still likely going to be running through ammo a bit fast with this weapon. You're going to be using it more than what's necessary on almost everything that you're killing. That's kind of the problem I have with burst fire weapons. The only burst fire weapon I actually like in this game is the AK, and that's because the AK is full auto or burst, and the burst gives you more DPS, so it kind of makes sense. With this, it also has the ACOG sight, which is not one of the best sights in the game. It's kind of a pain to look through and to be firing. And then the shotgun on the underside of it was buffed, and it is stronger now, and it feels decent. But it still isn't one of the best shotguns. It feels very similar to the starting shotgun that support has, the SG500, except for it shoots slower. It has, I think, the lowest rate of fire out of any of the shotguns at about 50 rounds per minute or something like that. So very slow. Its reload is kind of slow as well, and it feels very awkward to be playing this as Commando. Now, as support, this weapon is better. It's still not great on support, but it is better because they can make use of the shotgun, and the assault rifle part of this weapon can work for long range. I still wouldn't consider it one of support's best weapons, though, especially for a tier 3 weapon when you have choices like the M4 or the medic shotgun. And then the last DLC weapon is the Thermite Board. This is for Firebug, and this is the Seal Squeal, but for fire. It is a tier 4 weapon costing 1500 Dash. This weighs 8. It can be upgraded once, going up to 9. Being at a weight of 8 is really good. Being a fire Seal Squeal is really amazing, and this one is really good all the way around. I really enjoy it. This counts as explosive damage and fire damage, and when you set off the explosive/fire dart that it shoots out, it will leave ground fires behind it, which were slightly nerfed during the beta, but not by too much, just by, I think, 3 seconds. So, not a big deal. It's still a really strong weapon and a really good weapon for Firebug, especially if you're max level and you're running Pyromaniac with it. Then you get to fire as many of these out as you can, and you'll pretty much have a room full of explosions and full of fire, and you'll likely kill just about everything in there, especially if it's flesh pounds or crawlers or really anything besides Skrakes. And even Skrakes you'll probably not have too much trouble killing with this thing. Alright, now let's talk about some of the weapon balancing and the class balancing that happened. So 2 weapons got rebalanced, that being the compound bow for sharpshooter. So let me go over the compound bow statistics. The cryo arrows have now been increased in damage. They have a larger explosion radius, and they do triple the explosion damage, which might sound like a lot, but it was only 25 before, so it's 75 now. You have a larger ammo pool now, so you get 35 arrows rather than 30 arrows. Your initial spare ammo went up by 1. And your ammo pickup has now went up by 1 as well. So instead of picking up 3 arrows, you're going to pick up 4 arrows whenever you get a box. Overall, pretty decent for the compound bow. I still don't think it's going to be a weapon you see very often with sharpshooter, but a fun weapon nonetheless. So cool, it got rebalanced. And the other weapon that got rebalanced is the Hemogoblin. Again, they've increased its damage, again, from 100 to 120. They have now increased the healing amount by 5, so you heal more. They have now increased the ammo from 98 to 112, so great. And they've also increased the reload speed by 20%. So everything about the Hemogoblin just got buffed. And the Hemogoblin was already a great weapon for medic anyway, or survivalist. Now it's even better. So try it out, and you'll probably have pretty good success with it. It's a pretty decent weapon right now. Perks that got changed, we have Berserker, which got hit the hardest in this patch. Berserker did get nerfed pretty heavily. Their passive damage resist now is no longer at a max of 15%, it's at a max of 10%. So you do not have as much damage resist as you previously did. Their level 5 perk Skirmisher got nerfed. It now no longer heals you for 2 points every second, it heals you for 1 point every second. This felt pretty bad. Skirmisher does not feel nearly as good as it used to. Vampire was also nerfed. Now you no longer regenerate 4 hit points when you kill an enemy. You regenerate 3 hit points. This one honestly still feels the same to me. It's still okay. Resilience got nerfed back to where it was before they buffed it. So they pretty much just redid the last patch on it. It no longer gives you 25% damage reduction. It gives you 15% damage reduction. Parry was also changed. You no longer reduce the incoming damage from 40% of what you normally would. It's 30%. And the duration of it is no longer at 10%, it's at 8%. This one they had nerfed pretty heavily, which I didn't fully understand, at least as hard as they did, because it was at 25% and at 6 seconds, and at 6 seconds it felt pretty awful. At 8 seconds it feels still pretty strong. It's still going to be the perk that I pick for level 15 over Resilience, especially now that they nerfed Resilience again for whatever reason. Berserker got a whole lot less tanky with this patch overall. Does that mean Berserker is a terrible class now? I would say no. It's still a pretty strong class. It's still pretty decent. I'm probably going to redo some of my tier lists, at least for the perks and for the perks that have gotten new weapons, so that they're more up to date now. But Berserker did kind of drop. I wouldn't say that they're high up in S tier anymore, where they used to be. They're still a pretty solid build, and if you have a medic on the team, they're still going to do just fine. If you don't, that's when things start getting kind of dicey. You still have all the damage that Berserker did before, so you can still hit pretty hard. And that's kind of nice, but overall, Berserker did get nerfed, and a whole lot of people aren't really liking that right now. Medic also got nerfed a little bit, sort of. Medic's symbiotic healing at level 5 was nerfed. Now you no longer get the 10% healing back that you normally would. You get the 6%. So that is reduced. It's still a pretty good perk, though. You still get the 25 bonus HP, and you still get health back when you're healing people. If you're a good medic, you're likely going to be sitting at full health pretty much the entire game. So I doubt this will really change that build a whole lot, unless you want to run Resilience, which Resilience is already a really good perk too. Their maximum armor was also nerfed. You can no longer have 175 maximum armor. It goes to 150 now. So you're not getting nearly as much armor per level. Again, I really didn't feel much of a difference with this. Medic is still probably the tankiest class in the game, and still probably one of the strongest classes in the game. So even with this minor nerf, it didn't really feel like they did a whole lot. Demo got buffed, kind of. Their level 10 perk, extra ammo, was buffed from now giving you 5 extra ammo with every weapon, besides C4, to 10 extra ammo with every weapon, besides C4. Which I really wish that this worked for C4, otherwise I'd probably take it, because I'm still probably not going to take it. You know, having 10 extra rockets for your rocket launcher sounds pretty awesome, but I'm still probably going to take 25% bonus damage over 10 more rockets, just so that I can get more DPS out of my rockets. That's just me, though. If you want to try it out, go for it. I can't imagine it being really a bad choice for level 10. And then the last class that got changed was Support. Support got buffed. Their level 5 perk, High Capacity Magazines, is now increased from 50% maximum ammo to 75% maximum ammo. This feels really good for any of the clip-fed shotguns, so if you like running the AA-12, the HZ-12, the Medic Shotgun, or the Nail Gun, all of those weapons got massively increased by this. The AA-12 can now hold 35 rounds in it, which feels amazing. The HZ-12 can now hold 28 rounds in it, which also feels amazing. The Medic Shotgun holds 18 rounds in it, also great. And the nail gun holds like 79 rounds or something like that in it. So those weapons are all really good. This still does not affect any of the weapons that it didn't affect before. So it doesn't affect the double barrel. You're not going to just get 3 shots or 4 shots if they decide to round it up with the double barrel. Same with the Doom Stick. You're not going to go to 7 rounds. The buckshots are the same way. You'll be stuck at 5 or 10 rounds depending on if you have 1 or 2 of them. And I still think that the faster reload speed is probably better for the tube-fed shotguns as well. So that's the SG 500 that you start out with, the Dragon's Breath, the M4. All those shotguns still will probably benefit more from the faster reload speed. But if you really like those clip-fed shotguns, this is probably going to be a pretty tempting option for you, and I've really been liking it since they've changed this. Overall, with this patch, I'm okay with it. I don't think it's one of the greatest patches, mostly because of the changes that they did to classes. They did nerf Berserker pretty hard. They're probably going to roll that back a little bit just because of the community's pushback on it. I still think Berserker's pretty strong, but I feel like they made too many changes too fast for Berserker that it's probably not going to go over well for them. So they'll probably end up reverting it back and then maybe slowly nerf it down. So those are my thoughts on the new changes that have been happening in Killing Floor 2. Hopefully you guys found this kind of informative. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are new here, be sure that you get subscribed. That way you get notifications whenever I post any of these videos. As well as if you'd like to help out the channel, you can by either going to the membership program, which should now be on the channel, or going over to my Patreon, or going over to my merch store. All of those are linked in the description below, and you can support the channel that way. All of that is very much appreciated. Thanks everybody who does that, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye!